Awesome. So my next question is, you have a great history with hockey and you obviously focus a lot on the winning aspect of business, which makes sense, right? I've heard that a lot in the business world. And most of us want to, we want to be successful. We want to make money. And you don't do that necessarily by being content all the time with, with what's going on. But I'm wondering what your thoughts are on the people aspect and the general happiness piece of business, since people are really what make a business run.
Sure. So, I don't want to give the cliche answer of, oh, happy employees, but equals happy customers equal, but it's true.
Mm-hmm.
And, I find, and I'll give you two kind of parallels and explain why I feel that winning is important. So I played on some of the best teams in the world when I was young,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the worst teams. And let's just say I was happier when I was winning.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say to you that whether it be in business, sports, if you're gonna play, I understand, compete and do all that. You can't win all the time. But if you win more often than you lose, you should create a positive culture where you can improve the lives of the people around you, meaning your employees,
Mm-hmm.
and your community by, the most giving people I know don't talk about it a lot when they're giving to nonprofits. They don't want it in the newspaper and other things. What they want is they just want to help things. And so if you do well, you can give to the community, you can give to your employees, you can create a positive culture. And if you ask anybody, would you rather win or lose, whether it be in business, because business is about winning, whether you acknowledge it or not. There's a scorecard in every business. And any business has customers and products, and winning is important for longevity of a business and for creating that positive winning culture. So the happiest employees I've ever seen in my life were when I was running companies where we were killing it.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing well, but we were also paying attention to them. We weren't running them into the ground. We weren't overworking them. We were, I always, never asked anybody to work harder than me. And if I was driving home from the office at 6 o'clock at night and I called somebody and they're still there and I asked, hey, aren't you heading home? And it was like, oh no, I'm going to be here for 2 more hours. I used to be the boss that said, you need to go home right now because it'll still be there in the morning. Now, there's times you have to break those rules and do things. I mean, there's times I work 24 hours in a row. There are times I work weekends. But it's interesting, our best, happiest employees were also always the ones that volunteered to be with me there on weekends and at night. And they're the ones also that seem to get rewarded the most and that were just driven to achieve greater things. So it's okay to show up and just do your job and say, hey, I'm going to show up at 8:01 every day and do a good job and leave at 4:59. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're going to do that kind of a job, you better be prepared to accept what you're given as compared to getting greater rewards. So we do live in a capitalist system, whether it be sports or business, you get paid for playing better than other people. So I do believe in happiness. And, if I could tell you, I've been married for 44 years. I believe in having a happy family, in having a happy workforce, in treating people right, and taking care of the community around me. And I think those are the signs of good leaders.
That's awesome to hear. I feel like a lot of people say that, but then they don't necessarily practice it as much. I agree. Like I would never ask anybody to do anything that I wouldn't do. And I think I've been the person that's been there, longer nights at jobs and stuff. But it's interesting that you were saying that the people who got the most out of their jobs were the ones that were there on the weekends and the evenings when necessary. And I think when people love the people around them and they like the work that they're doing, they're more likely to do that because they enjoy it. They're
Yep.
not going to do that if they hate their job.
Yeah, and they do studies every year, and in all the studies, money is never, well, until recently, money was never listed as the number one motivator. There's a lot of people that get paid a lot of money that hate their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw a statistic the other day, and it's validated through the Harvard Business School, is 70% of people will change their jobs in the next 2 years.
Hmm.
That's up from 30% pre-pandemic, because people are so, this has changed the world.
Mm-hmm.
So why people go to work, let's pretend you're like me, is I went to work at my first real job after sports. I loved my boss and respected him, and I loved the people I worked with, and it was a winning culture and a winning environment. I learned a lot in that company. They were always training me. They paid me fairly, but I will tell you what I learned from sports, because many of your listeners might be students, but maybe they don't know sports. So identifiably, the best two hockey players in history, arguably, are Wayne Gretzky and Gordie Howe.
Mm-hmm.
So I had relationships with both of them. My dad played against Gordie Howe. I played against him 30 years later. He and his sons, I played with Wayne Gretzky, and I'll tell you there's a common thread between two men who were born 40 years apart. Is they were the first ones to practice, they were the best conditioned, and they were the last to leave. And they're both legends. So I was a very average hockey player because I chose, everything's a choice, not to be the first one there and last to leave. Now, when I went in business, I reversed that course and practiced what I learned from Gretzky and Howe. And I said, you know what? I didn't apply it in sports. I had a lot of fun. I got paid a lot of money, but now I'm going to apply it. I'm going to be the first one in, last to leave. I'm going to see what happens, because, I'm moderately intelligent, not brilliant by any stretch of the imagination, but I do believe you can outwork people. Mm-hmm. And if you do it with a smile on your face and a positive attitude, it sure goes a long way.
It's funny. My dad's been telling me that same exact thing for years.
I love your dad. He's probably he's probably younger than me, but he's teaching you. But every time I've seen you and everything I get from you in email, there's a smile on it. I can see it. I can hear it. So you don't have a frown.
I don't.
I'm sure, yeah, you're a positive person. And, if you're going to go through this life, I'd rather go through it with a smile. And it's the way I choose to live.